Okay, now I think it's time to have another topic, and it's one very important, at least in terms of how to differentiate between a product and another, between a bank and another. So it's about user experience, and I don't know if someone's, I guess, famous told that it's like the last user experience could be the last legal way to have a competitive advantage in banking. But so I guess it could be true, and it's my pleasure to invite Anca Petcu, Chief Operations Officer at First Bank, Elena Bicher, Head of UX at Promocrat Growth Agency, and Sebastian, Managing Partner 123credit.ro, to join us for a panel about user experience. Welcome. Okay, once again, thanks for being here with us for a topic very interesting. And I guess what I was telling about the way banks could differentiate through user experience, it's very true. And I want, first of all, to ask you about how do you perceive user experience in your companies? And sorry, it doesn't work? Oh, okay. So, how important is user experience in your activities, in your practice, in your bank, in your financial institution, and in your agency, of course?
Hello. Good evening. I had the feeling that this was not working, so I felt the need to check. I think you were answering, no? And I basically took them.
If the mic is working, yes, I can start.
Okay, then I will let you, and then I will
Okay. Okay. Hello. Thank you, Razvan. Thank you for the invitation and the chance to be here to talk with you. Yeah, the user experience. That's something that every company should have. Doesn't matter the industry and the approach for the client. But more so, if we are talking about digital solutions, as 123credit.ro is, then the user experience is a main part of our business plan. Yeah? We should build solutions that helps clients to gain trust and understanding about very complex flows in financial industries.
Okay, Anca?
I can for sure subscribe to what Sebastian said. It's obvious that this is becoming very important, and the fact that we are here talking about it, and you have here represented 3 industries which they are connected with financial services, it's obvious that for all of us it's at the core of what we do. In digital, and I completely agree with the statement, it would be even not imaginable not to have this at the center of our interests, because financial products are complicated. Yeah, so you cannot just, let's say, digitize a flow, a process that you have in the bank. Let's take the example of, I don't know, a loan, the simple one, the consumer unsecured, and let your customer go into a huge hurdle of trying a loan to fill in all the steps. So basically, having a customer-centric with a great UX journey, it's becoming central for the customer experience, for a simple journey that the customer can use. There are some characteristics which you need to have, so it needs to be simple, it needs to be transparent. We know that the customers, they want to know what will happen, besides how much is the interest, of course, and the cost, and it's something that I would say that is the first thing that the customers are looking, but besides that, they would like to know how long it's taking, when this is finishing. So there are some things which you can make very easy for the customer, provided you think ahead and you design your journey in a very centric way.
Okay, Elena, how do you see it from the agency perspective?
Well, from an agency perspective, working on with clients from the banking industry, customer centricity is key nowadays. Banks used to be very business centric, following business objectives and profits. And nowadays, there is this trend that puts the client at the focus of everything. And from a user experience point of view, this usually starts with customer segmentation, because banks address to mass markets, and you need to create some user personas that have different objectives, ages, genders, financial capabilities and interests, and see how you can address each and every one of them in the flow that you are building. And after you do this, before starting the product building per se, you need to start involving the clients, the customers, in the early stages with user interviews, with surveys. Find out about what they would like first, not what we as an agency or what the bank would like to happen. Because involving them in this early stage means that you are co-building with them. And the UX process does not become just a partnership between the financial institution and the UX agency, but the clients are involved at the beginning, during the process, because we might want to show them the first low fidelity mockups, so that they can validate that all our buttons are placed in places that they are easy to see. Then we might want them to check the high fidelity mockups to manage to refine the features and where all things in the flow are placed, and get their feedback on this. And afterwards, after the solution is live, we again need their feedback, and we involve them in constant feedback loops to improve and iterate on the solution. So it's not just, I've built it, now it's live. It's a never-ending story.
Got it. What about this customer centricity? It's a buzzword, I guess, in banking and in financial services. But how do you apply this philosophy in your businesses, in your bank, in your financial institution? I mean, how do you, let's say, can you share us some real use cases of applying this kind of user centricity?
I can say something about that based on the experience with 123 Credit. But at the beginning, I want all of us to have a look of the global companies that are actually global right now, and the biggest company in the world. If we are looking at these companies, we are seeing that customer-centric approach have been applied by them. Basically, what companies like Amazon, like Spotify, like Netflix, I don't know, Facebook, and so on have done, they identify a way to understand what the clients needs and wants, and then how to monetize that. So that business process that they develop, being focused on the need of the client, help them, and then monetize that, help them to become global. This is something that is happening with 123 Credit, and hoping at least European market to be conquered at one point, not maybe globally. We've built and we developed this company starting with this idea. We looked at the market, having a financial experience, banking and financial experience for many years. We looked at the market and then tried to understand what is missing. And what was missing was a so simple solution for everyone, not mainly for the education, the people with high education, a simple solution that can be understood and give access and put the power in the hand of a client who needs to interact with financial services. And the digital era that we are now part of, helped to fast track this thing, because as I read some in a book recently, something Funky Business, probably most of you knows, IT and digital, transparent, make the things to be more transparent and globalized with a speed that never happened before in the human history. So from experience with 123 Credit, we've built a digital solution that empower the client in order to understand and take a decision when it needs a financial service. Then we create internal procedures for our staff to understand how each of them can work and what's the result of their work in the satisfaction of the client. And not the least, education. We've started some programs and we are developing and thinking of solutions that can educate financially the market in our industry. And also, the fourth thing that should be applied in any business, we are trying not to get very in love with our ideas about the business and collecting feedback for the clients all the time and switching when is the case in order to keep the interaction and the UX for the client on a high level.
Okay, Anca, how do you see it from the bank perspective?
This with not getting very much in love with your idea, it's a bit difficult because I think it's something very human. Yeah, I will give you 2 or 3 examples.
Okay.
When we started looking at the way that we are granting our unsecured loans, and we decided that we would like to build a completely new journey for a digital accessible loan. My colleagues came to me and they told me, look, we don't care about your process. Yeah? We just want to redesign it in full from zero, white piece of paper. I was looking like, well, you need to care, yeah? We are a regulated industry. We cannot do here whatever we want. But they were a bit right because what they basically did, they initiated a process like Elena described it. So we had a lot of iterations with potential customers. There were our customers that they were belonging to other banks, that they were using the product or not. And we learned a lot from this. And what we understood, going back to in love with your idea, it is that some of the things that we were doing in a certain way were not being understood by the customers. And if you start and you digitize the process as you used to have it, you might actually have surprises further on with the way that the customer is using your product, and sometimes at the quarterly review of what you are doing. So the first thing that we did, we started embedding this practice of customer testing, of designing and taking feedback also on what we would like to launch before we actually made up our mind. Yeah? And I have to admit that we changed a lot. So our initial plans, they were changed by this kind of interaction. Then we are using this kind of customer-centric approach also when we are looking at our backlog for, I don't know, the mobile banking. Yeah? We decide what kind of features we would like to put there, having in mind how the customer would use it, how this would be received, and what it is in for him. And I will give you maybe 2 examples in this respect. We decided at a certain point to have an innovative feature and to have in our mobile banking for the customer the option to see where he enrolled the card. I don't know if you ever tried something like that, you would be surprised. When I looked for myself, okay, it was, let's say that a big list came. Things that you don't remember, you put your card there, sometimes you have a subscription. I realized how many subscriptions I have. Okay. So this was something that the customer very well received. The second kind of example, and it's a feature which I really loved because I'm using it, so you see, in love with what you're doing, it's the paying the taxes. We know that there is Guicheu, which is extremely good. We integrate it, so our customers have the possibility to pay the taxes directly from the mobile application. But we thought, and what if the client doesn't have the account? Yeah, it still can happen. There are a lot of people using it, but maybe not all of them. So we automatically open it, which again, maybe it's a small thing, but I don't know if you forget. Usually when you open things and your passwords, I do. So this was coming very, very handy for our customers. So basically what I think it is changing, and it's also what my colleagues here said the same, it's the way that we look at product development, which is not now just a bunch of steps and features, but we are looking and thinking how the customer will actually look at this. So our opinion is not important anymore.
Okay, I see that. I'm guessing that you have a fresh experience on redesigning the digital loan.
Hey, we redesign all the time many things.
Okay, but can you share what are the most important things clients value when trying to take a digital loan? I mean, it's time to money, user experience, live support.
User experience is important regardless of what kind of journey you are accessing. And I don't know if you access this kind of products, usually there is good UX, you don't feel it. So you go, regardless of the product. Yeah, it's a bank, it's not a bank, it can be voila before. So good UX, you just feel it like, I needed to take this loan or to buy those tickets and I did it and I'm done and that's it. Bad UX, you feel it immediately. It's that kind of feeling that you have in your stomach and you want to, jump on the phone. Like this is not really, this is not how I want to spend my time. So I would say that UX, it's important, extremely important for any kind of journey. I would differentiate in giving you the answer what is more important between mortgage, which is a long time, life impacting decision, and the consumer unsecured. When you buy a house, when you take a loan, which has a big amount, yeah, and you know that you are going to remain in that relationship for 25, 30 years, yeah, it's maybe like a marriage here, you are very careful. You are not in such a big hurry. So I would say that time to cash, it's not crucial here. It's important time to yes, which means that you want to know, can I take this money? Am I will be able to buy that house? But not necessarily time to cash. Advisory, I think, is very important. And here we and banks usually need to find the correct mix between a digital journey and the correct level of customer advisory. Personally, I do not believe that customers yet have the, let's say, the willingness and they want not to have any human interaction. You have some questions. Look, it was in the presentation before a very funny slide with a client that wanted to buy some tickets, yeah, some plane tickets. And he was saying, if I'm changing, if I'm not changing, imagine when you buy the house, yeah, and when you take the mortgage loan, you need somebody to talk to you. So either you find a way to have the advisory on the digital flow, I don't know, in app or via video or in a chat, but you need to have it. In unsecured loan, in personal needs, it's a bit different because usually the purchase is a bit of an emotional one. Yeah? I want something I saw. Nobody wants a loan, first of all. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, today I will go to a bank and I will take the loan. Yeah? People want something else. They want to buy, I don't know, the house, not the house, the house was before, the car, to renovate the kitchen. There are many things that you need money for. So there you want to know fast. Yeah. Do you give me the money and when? Time to cash becomes very important. Advisory, yeah, you could have questions, but I think there it's a bit easier to accommodate. So, as I said, I would differentiate, but UX, important in both cases.
And you don't have to feel it.
Not at all. If you feel it, then it's something wrong.
Okay. Elena? I was curious, when collaborating with banks and other financial institutions, to enhance onboarding, lending processes, what UX best practices do you recommend to ensure maybe convenience and simplicity for the customers?
Yeah, I think before the implementing best practices, it's important to take a step back. And to view the experience that the customer is about to have as an omni-channel thing, because user journeys are not linear. They are going to end up in your flow, but you don't know where are they coming from. They might come from an ad, they might come from the website, someone might recommend them and they could go directly to your flow, and so on. So it's important to understand what are the possible touch points. How is the bank communicating on those touch points? And try to create at first a basis of consistency between all the other things that exist beside your newly designed flow. And that consistency can be visual in the sense that you're designing a mobile app for a bank and you have round cornered buttons and the website has straight cornered ones. So these are some basics that you don't want to miss. But of course you can go into detail. Then you have tone of voice consistency. How you address the client. Are you friendly? Are you more traditional? So you can replicate that in the technical copywriting in your flow. And that's also important. The functional consistency. A functional element on the website, if it's replicated in another part or in another flow, it has to bring you to the same result. If you have a question, an icon with a question mark, and it opens a new page, or in another part of the flow, it opens a pop-up, then the user might get confused. So this is important at first. And after finding out and mapping these ground rules, so to speak, you can then start organizing your flow. And a best practice that we've been using lately is breaking it down into steps that are easy to understand for the client. Because most of them, and especially millennials and Gen Zs, have been educated by tech giants. And they tend to offer information in bite-sized pieces, very easy to understand, very easy to go to the next step. So this is what we must try to do at first. Offer them less complexity, less choice at any point in the flow. So it would be better if you spread it out in steps that they can follow by making easy decisions from one step to another, than giving them a form that is, I don't know how long it takes to scroll to the end of it. So that's important. They need reassurance, and they need to know how much the flow that they engaged in is going to take. And if they somehow decide that it takes too long, or they got bored and they leave, it's a recommended practice to allow them to come back at any point they want. And of course, if you already know how to contact them, you can nudge them back somehow. So I think this is super important. And from a visual point of view, there are some trends right now, as in people don't like to read long text anymore, so you might as well replace anything that you can with imagery, with icons, with suggestive visual elements that can make the journey easier and more delightful, because that's what users will be accustomed to. They spend most of their time on other websites, and they expect to see what delights them there, to see them replicated in your flow.
Nice. You've mentioned one interesting topic and one interesting concept about the tech giants that somehow educated us to have some kind of expectation in terms of UX, in terms of how to digest different products, and it's not just financial products. So I wanted to ask Anca, and after that Sebastian, about this kind of know-how import from the tech giants. How do you see that? I mean, big companies, they influence a lot from what we consume. So in banking, how does applies to consuming financial products and loans, deposits, and so on?
Indeed, the tech giants did this and basically influenced the customer and changed the expectation of the customer. And because of that, because we have a customer which is more demanding, that has, let's say, less patience, less willingness to I'm not saying to comply with some rules in a bad way, but they don't have let's say, they are not that much understanding, yeah, with bad UX. This raised the bar a lot. So the banks and other also industries needed to adapt to that. So if you have digital journeys and you want to have digital journeys which are being used, yeah, because in the end, the reason of doing that, it is for the customers to use it, not for you just to say that, and I have this, and you can come and take long and nobody does. So the fact that we are embedding this in the way we are looking at our business, I would say it's anyhow significant change. Yeah, we adapted to this, and I think there is a lot of examples, and we do inspire. We inspired also from each other, and I think this is a good thing. Yeah, banks with other banks, other kind of financial institutions. So this is the, let's say, a very good result of competition. The fact that we do this. So I think there are. And if you look at the journeys and the way that they are designed, you can find a lot of similar things. So I would say in a nutshell that it's a source of inspiration that influence a lot the consumer, and because of that, it led to progress.
Great answer. Thanks. Sebastian?
Yeah, we want or not, those big tech companies shape the way we are interacting with technology and with our life. And that's something that we should consider when we are building interaction, because all the studies talked about Romania that is not very digitalized as a country, and our digital level as individuals is very low, but all of us has a Facebook account or an Instagram account, and using it the whole day, more hours than probably it's required. Yeah, what we've done with 123 Credit, when we start building the flows, we had that approach of giving first and then take something. And through each step of the interaction of the client with our system, we asked only the minimum information required for providing an answer. So, for example, at the beginning of the flow, if a client is looking for a credit, we are asking, okay, what type of credit do you want? And then he's seeing a loan calculator for that type of product. Then we are asking about the period and the amount of that credit, and then show something to the client to make him comfortable of receiving the information that he's looking for. And so on to the rest of the flow. When he wants and is ready to go forward and to score itself, to find his eligibility, to check when credit bureau or other facilities that we have put in the platform, or to apply, we then ask for more information in order to profile accordingly the client and direct it to the right credit offer that we can provide from our partners, the banks. So yeah, all the development and all the changes and all the feedback that we are taking right now showed us that we need to position in front of the client that way, in order not to force him to give us in order to receive something, but to let him to receive as much information as he wants in order to become comfortable, and then to consider your service to be a valid one and a trustable one in order to use it till the end.
Got it. I want to, before finishing the panel, I want to also approach an interesting aspect in financial services. I mean, how to keep the flows as simple as possible when you are pretty much heavy regulated. So it's in terms of banks, for sure they are heavy regulated. I don't know about 123 Credit, but it's less regulated than a bank, of course. So how to keep this balance between I don't know, simplicity, but you also have the regulations that you have to comply, and it affects the UX, of course.
What I've seen also from the banks, yeah, when the flow is fully digitalized, yeah, then also the banks have cut the number of information that they are asking for. Yeah? So you don't need to know if a client has a car or not to be relevant for the scoring. Yeah? Or the level of education not always is as important as it used to be at one point. Yeah? So that way, when the flow is digital, as far as I've seen from our partners, they make the process of the qualifying of the client more simple, based on a couple of factors that are determine a good profile or not, not so good profile. Meaning like FICO score, if we are talking about personal lending, income, type of income, credit history, and other few demographic information that they are collecting in order to profile accordingly. But if I'm looking back at when I was working in the banks many years ago, yeah, and filling in a credit request, I was spending half an hour with a client, telling him what to fill in, and I was collecting so much information about that profile that in scoring, in the end, was not so relevant in order to understand if that client is a good one or a bad one.
Okay.
I like very much that you say this, because actually on the Know Your Customer, it's pretty much the same. So you see, good UX is changing the perception. The regulation is the same, so basically the customer needs to provide, when you discuss about know your customer, the same type of information. But indeed, on the digital journey, the way you present it, the way you gather it, the way you explain it, it can get the feeling at a certain point that this is much improved. Yeah. Know your customer is something which is extremely important and serious, because it's like a license to be part of the financial system. Yeah, so it's like you take your driver license and then you go and you drive on the street. So this is something that we need to do, and it's a very good thing, keeping financial sector properly, yeah, secure, sound and secure. But indeed, if you explain to the customer is not, let's say, reluctant to give you information. The problem it is how you ask it and if you explain it. Because at a certain point, somebody might say, why do you want to know my mother's maiden name? Yeah, and I don't know, there could be many examples like that, and there is a reason behind it. So if you manage to make a clean flow, and you explain why you need the information, and you make it transparent, and you also say, what does this mean? Because sometimes we see drops, let's say on an onboarding flow, yeah, the customer is, because you don't know what is that. And this can happen there are a bit of more complicated concepts at a certain point. So you need to explain them right. So I would say that here the good UX is also helping a lot. They are not tricks, there are design principles that you can apply. Imagine that you receive a huge list of things that you need to fill. Yeah, you're looking, what is this? But if you put it in the correct sequence, and if you explain it, and if it's also looking a bit more engaging, and something also that we found out it works, it is if the customer knows when this will end. Yeah, so I have 3 screens, 2 questions, so in 3 it's done. Not like that, and you scroll like this, and you never know when this is going to end. So, yeah, I think it is giving us a chance, the digital journey, to package this a bit better, and to help the customer navigate through the regulatory part that exists.
Okay, and I can add here on the same way as Anca said, the way we are collecting information right now. So the client doesn't need to type every piece of information. Yeah, we can OCR a document in order to extract all the relevant information, and he's just taking a picture of the document, and then the magic is happening. Those digital systems that are embedded right now in these flows made the client to bring the easiness for the client in order to provide things. Right now we are working to install in order to create a mega bot from our partners, Dreid AI, that will gonna help the client to go through the onboarding process in a very friendly and human way, talking, interacting, and asking the relevant question, and then come with the right answer very fast, like someone is interacting with a human being.
Okay, thanks a lot. Elena, I will ask you pretty much the same question because you still have to comply with the regulation when delivering UX. So how do you tackle these challenges?
Well, at first, I must admit it was a tough lesson to learn because you plan a user journey and you plan it to be as simple as possible. Then you find out, okay, so the users has to fill in the KYC form. They have to fill in the anti-money laundering and the FATCA information. Then you have to wait for the National Fiscal Administration to confirm the revenues and so on and so forth. So you see how that flow that you designed to be simple and in a few minutes, it just increases in time of completion. And that's okay. At one point, you understand that this is what needs to happen. So then it's your job as a UX designer to communicate that to the client in a manner that they can easily understand. In human terms, because not everyone has the same level of financial literacy, so to speak, and you are addressing to mass market. And after you communicate that to them in the flow, you can try to find out how to save them some time. So, for example, you can read automatically all their information on the ID, and the user just has to confirm it, not write it by hand. You can, instead of having a form, a drop down with yes or no that you must click twice, you can have a toggle or 2 checkboxes. And this added can save you a lot of time that otherwise you feel that you've lost. So it's the need to balance between the regulations and what you can do to shorten the experience and make it delightful and understandable for the customers.
Okay, cool. That was a wrap-up call. So now I will let the audience ask a few questions if there are. Yeah, Cosmin. Right away, I told you a mic is on your way.
Thank you very much. This is Cosmin.
Be mild.
So my question is, I'll put a little bit of context. Now, fintech was the promise of a better financial service. It still is. Then lots of the fintechs were focusing on the UX and UI traditionally in financial services, including selling to banks this value proposition. And then banks immediately started to buy it because it was a lot cooler. My question is now for Anca, the other guests can also answer. Where actually the real value proposition of the financial product, especially in lending, would actually kill the UX. So you say you have a good UX, but the value prop is really lame. Something that we see in all the banks traditionally.
This is a very interesting question. So basically, you're saying that, let's say that the bank manages to do a very nice interaction with the customer, be it individual or company, but the customer would choose another financial institution because the value proposition is better. We are defining value proposition, I suppose, more than interest rate, yeah, or financial conditions, or. Mm-hmm.
Something like this, but at the end, the problem is the following. The whole, because UX is defined traditionally from the perspective of the customer.
Yeah.
When I'm onboarding, when I'm doing stuff. But then you have internal, because each financial product, especially in lending, you have there lots of silos that work actually in order that product to fulfill. And at the end of the day, this is the most hardest thing when you're delivering lending products into the market. And the question is, we see now a lot of shiny and nice applications to the banks, but still the workflows behind are really difficult, and then the delivery, it's really bad. So
if
that's the delivery of the value prop, because lots of banks are saying, we have banks that are saying that they're the banks of the Romanian entrepreneurs or whatever, right? And at the end, they have exactly the same.
Let's say that in the example that you are giving, if the journey it's digital, but also you have straight-through processing, that means that there is no human interaction, that it shouldn't happen what you're saying. If it is not, which means that I digitize just part of my journey, then yeah, you might feel on the way the different interactions with the departments that you are saying. But then that one shouldn't be called, in my view, an end-to-end digital, yeah, if it's not straight-through processing. So. I would say that if you discuss about the product, it's very important what the customer is looking at that point, because the bank maybe didn't digitize all the products and not the customer journeys. Yeah. So if he wants, you gave the example guaranteed versus not guaranteed. If the related bank doesn't have the product structure like that, there is no UX there. Yeah. So of course the customer is free to choose from another institution that offers that. But I don't see how and why this should be ever uniform. Because in the end, the way that you are selling your product, it's a part of the strategy that you have, and that is what differentiates you from other banks. You cannot have all of us doing the same thing. It wouldn't be. This is your perception. What can I say? No, I cannot contradict you, because you seem to have a very strong opinion, and I know that you usually do. So okay. I really think that depending on the product, the journeys, and the offering, it is different.
Okay, I think it's another question in the audience. Yeah, Nick.
Yes. Down-to-earth question, by contrast to my friend Cosmin. Compliance is the enemy of simplicity, right? So we want to have very easy to enroll, very easy to sell product. And my question now is, you need to compromise, because you want to have it simple and compliant and easy to sell. So who in a bank or financial institution, in fintech is very simple, organization is small, we take decisions right away. Who in a bank, because you, Anca, have been digital transformation officer, you are a COO now, who in the bank takes a decision where we stop, where we can compromise and say, hey, finally, is the DPO maybe? How you take the decision if the UX is the right one and we put a stop on it and just go away?
So you said compliance is the enemy of simplicity. I would say that compliance is the guardian of security. So from this point of view, for sure, we have a different view of it. But I admit that it needs a lot, or let's say some effort, like we discussed until now, to be able to present it in a simple way. I would say that UX wins here. Yeah, regulation is regulation. There is nothing that you should do there. So the way that you address it, it's through the UX. And again, or at least maybe it was just my experience, but in the end, if you explain it properly from the beginning, because sometimes what the customer feels, it is a back and forth. And maybe this is the part when we need to have to do a better job, yeah? To better explain it. Digital here, it's helping because you don't have that chance, yeah? So either you do it right from the first time, or as I said before, you see a lot of drop-offs at that point and you decide that you need to redesign it because it meant that you didn't do it right. So I would say that UX wins and not the kind of exceptions that I think you were asking about.
No, my question was compared to fintechs, because I represent the fintech association and I know our members. Who in the bank takes the final decision on the UX? Say, hey, we have to go ahead. So you always need to compromise and say how much data we get, because being GDPR compliant, and we have national bank here, you cannot collect any sort of data. You have to make sure you collect it properly. And then when it's about, for example, First Bank used to have a beautiful onboarding solution in the past. I don't know if it is the same. but someone in the chain of command should take the decision. That's my question. So in a bank, is the DPO saying, yeah, it is full compliant, it's working, let's do it? Who is the final decision maker?
I understand. You don't find the person. This is not in the hands of only one person. Usually it is either the product team or it's a cooperation between DPO and compliance and legal and all the involved parties. But don't imagine here, as I said, exception, but better UX. And when I say better UX, I mean the same steps, explain better or put in another logic, yeah? There is none, or in my experience, there is not somebody that can give you that.
Okay, cool. I think we will wrap up here, and thank you very much for joining us. It was a very interesting debate and panel, and a few interesting questions, so I think we did a good job. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.